Gettysburg and Adams County Historical Society maintain the history of the civilians and the people that were affected by the Battle of Gettysburg here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania and Adams County. Places like the house right here behind me. These places hold really big stories in really small pieces of land, and they're preserved by the National Park and by organizations like the Adams County Historical Society. We're here today to tell a story about the loudest shot in Gettysburg. I'm out at a location right now that shouldn't need any kind of introduction. It's the Ephraim Wisler House. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. On July 1st of 1863, Marcellus Jones comes out here with the 8th Illinois Cavalry. And he's out here as a picket for John Buford. He's supposed to be guarding the Chambersburg Pike, which is this road right behind me here. Now, in 1863, this entire area behind me is cleared out. You can see all the way down a half a mile to the Marsh Creek that's just below us. And you can actually walk down from here on the side of the road, although I wouldn't recommend it. But Marsh Creek is this small water tributary that's just down the road there, and it runs in this direction. And the Confederate soldiers are coming up over the hill, marching in this direction, and Marcellus Jones and his men can see them from here, which is about a half a mile that way. He rests his carbine on a fence rail and he takes aim, and he watches and he waits until he thinks the time is right where they can actually effectively hit the men that are coming up. And then he pulls the trigger. That is likely the first shot that happens at the Battle of Gettysburg. Although there could have been other shots that happened at the same time, this place was pinpointed as the place of the first shot. There's actually a marker over here, and I'll take you to the marker here in just a second so you can see it for yourself, that's supposed to mark the place of the first shot. But they do know for a fact it happened here at this house, the Ephraim Wisler House. Now, another one of my favorite markers out here that probably plenty of people stop to see is this first shot marker here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. At 7:30 in the morning on July 1st, 1863, Lieutenant Marcellus Jones, or Captain Marcellus Jones, was out here And there was a fence out here that belonged to the Ephraim family. And he grabs a carbine from Sergeant Schaefer's. How do we know this? Well, it's on the monument. It was such an important shot that the man who actually owned the carbine needed to have his name on the monument too. Also, a Lieutenant Riddler is on here as well. All three of these men are credited with some portion of this first shot, and they wanted to make sure that it was known. And that marker marks the location where Jones thinks he was at when he made that first shot. And the entire story is literally told right there on the marker itself, which is why I like that. It's so simple. Like, you wouldn't have any idea by standing out here in the middle of this field that anything significant happened. And if you look at that tiny little marker and read just the few words that are inscribed upon it, you'll know exactly what happened out here by reading it. Now, it doesn't give you the detail that the park sign gives you about the 7 million rounds that were spent out here, or the 51,000 casualties as a result, and the change that took place in America because of the first shot of the Battle of Gettysburg. But in 1886, the men came back out here, they marked this location, and they put up the monument so that it would be known for all time. It's a wonderful marker to see, and it really is truly an amazing place to be. Now, inside this building, there really isn't much to see. The interior is in pretty bad shape. I looked inside myself, and I'll put up a small little clip that I took from the window so that you can see what I saw. But the floors look like they've seen better days. There's holes in them. The walls and the stucco and everything on the inside is pretty ratted out. It looks like the exterior has been taken care of and redone and in a historic fashion so that it can pop from the road, so it's got lots of color. But if you go closely to the brick, you can actually see that this building here has a sort of paint or coating on it. You can see the white lines that's white paint, and then there's a protective paint that's on the bricks itself, probably to protect the structure and maintain its integrity regardless of humidity, temperature, and all of that stuff. And they maintain the property very well. Mr. Ephraim himself, though, unfortunately, wasn't able to enjoy his life here after the Battle of Gettysburg. According to information I read, he was out here during the battle and a shell exploded near him. I don't think that he was hit by the shell or portion or fragment of it, but the shock of it all is what they said killed him, and then a month later he actually dies. That's a pretty crazy story about a man that was just trying to live his life here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And back off in this direction, Beaufort is up on a ridgeline about a mile, mile and a half away. And a lot of people come to Gettysburg and they see the big, beautiful open clearing just as you get into the township itself. And they think, aha, I'm here, I'm at the battlefield. The battlefield stretches for another couple of miles outside of town, in both directions, really. This is the first contact here at this location where I'm at right now. And what they do is they fight from a series of ridge lines going into town. And as you're driving into town, the roads go up and down, up and down. Those ridge lines are what these soldiers are fighting from. That dismounted cavalry is going from a ridge to get the high point, aiming down on the soldiers as they're coming in. And then they will reconnoiter on the next ridge line and fall back to that point, continue to fight, and slow down the enemy as they're coming. Now, when you're talking infantry, the infantry coming over to Marsh Creek is in a formation moving in this direction. Well, when they make that first initial contact, they then have to break off and turn like this to move forward. What that means is the lines are now deploying into a line of battle. So you take it from two, and then you're rotating everything like this and moving in this direction here. That is what takes so long for those Confederate soldiers to get up to this ridgeline and push that small unit out of this location to the next ridgeline where they meet more men who are fighting. And so therefore, you can take thousands of soldiers, line them up, start to fight, and just a few hundred of them are going to slow them down, probably even several hours. Well, that's what happens here at Gettysburg. Beaufort and his men slow them down. And the rest, as they say, is history. Well, there's many places out here in Gettysburg that you can come and visit and get a pretty decent story and learn about the history of Gettysburg, learn about the people in the town. I highly recommend you go over to the Adams County Historical Society and talk to the folks over there. If you get an opportunity, speak to Tim Smith. He's one of the best historians I've ever seen. Certainly one of the brightest men I know. And this place is something special. The story of the civilians here in this town is worth noting. A lot of people focus on the soldiers that fought out here, but I think that the townspeople, their stories are just as important. I hope you've enjoyed our little tour here at the Wisler House, and we're going to push on down the road, see another one of these spots, see what else we can bring you. Till next time, this is History with Waffles.